My name is Damian Addington. Today I'm going to dissect English Language Arts Common Core Literacy Standard for Writing 8.2 for middle school students. I debated between this one and Literacy Standard for Writing 8.1. However, 8.1 was focused on writing arguments to support claims with clear reasoning and relevant evidence, while the 8.2 was about informational and explanatory text. I think it's important that students have an understanding of how to organize and analyze information in basic informational text before they're able to take it to the next level and create arguments based on that information. So for that reason, we're going to start with W8.2. W8.2, the Common Core Standard, reads, write informative, explanatory text to examine a topic and convey ideas, concepts, and information through the selection, organization, and analysis of relevant content. So as we work here to paraphrase that, what's important is that we want our students with this standard to be able to write informative and explanatory text. The purpose of these texts should be to look at a specific topic, convey ideas and concepts through the selection of the right facts organized in the right way based on their analysis of relevant content. So that's what that means. Now, this specific standard is a broad standard and actually has 6 substandards in it. As I understand, these substandards are the skills that students have to use to be able to meet the broader standard. So we're going to walk through those two just really briefly. But as far as the basic skills go, paraphrased, students need to be able to introduce a topic, preview what they're going to write as an introductory paragraph or topic sentences, depending on we're talking macro or micro. They need to be able to organize ideas, concepts, and information, put those ideas into specific categories. Depending on the level of the content they're writing, they may also need to use some sort of multimedia, graphs, charts, etc. For the purpose of this discussion, we'll do based on literary works from my literature class. Second, they also need to be able to develop a topic. They need to select facts, definitions, and details, all related to what they're aiming to inform the audience of. They also need to be able to use appropriate transitions, write cohesively, make sure they're able to clarify relationships among the ideas and concepts that they're introducing. It's important that they can use the right language, vocabulary that's specific to their goal and the content that they're learning and the objectives that we're going through in that class. In middle school, we do a lot of vocabulary work, so they also need to use that relevant vocabulary. Now that we're in middle school, to be able to achieve this writing informational text 8.2 standard, they'll also have to have an understanding of how to establish and maintain a formal style. For our class, we ask them to use ELA style. And finally, to summarize their informational text they'll write, they'll need to be able to provide a concluding statement that supports the information and explanations that were presented. So how do we do this? Those are the skills they need, and there's a lot of them. For us to be able to do this in my classroom, and probably in most classrooms, they need to be able to have tasks that work through each of these specific skills in order to meet the overarching goal of writing an informative explanatory task that explains a topic. So how do we do that? And how do we assess their skills? And how do we assess them with a level of differentiation that allows for the serving of all the students? These tasks are done independently. So as an example, we're reading The Outsiders right now. If students, let's say, are creating a compare and contrast essay, it would first start with identifying the topics they want. So maybe they want to compare and contrast the social status of greasers. Students, for differentiation's sake, would be able to pick what they want to compare and contrast. They would be taught how to organize that information, say maybe using a Venn diagram where we can have one side over here, a side over here, and similarities in the middle. They would need to identify their points. This is the organization and selection piece. And then they would need to find relevant content by analyzing the texts and the chapters that they'd read to support those ideas that they had made. In order to find out what they wanted to select and organize, they would have already had to examine the topic, the outsiders, and chosen what concept they would like to compare and contrast. So the process of them selecting a concept to compare and contrast, creating the Venn diagram to organize their information, these are the steps that we would do and how we would assess their skills. And as a continued evaluation, there would be key checkpoints for each of these steps. For example, establishing and maintaining a formal style, we would have a lesson where they needed to take the material they had, put it in MLA format. For providing a concluding statement, they would have a period, a class period, or possibly multiple, depending on the speed that they understand the concepts, to create a concluding statement with the right information. Same with the topic, in introducing a topic. They'll work on topic sentence, thesis statements, a hook, working down with background information. So each of these subsections that I discussed earlier will be a checkpoint, essentially taking the form of some sort of assignment in class to allow students to interact with that concept before putting it all together into a single document. Now, to allow students to be successful depending on their own ability, there's not only those little things, you can pick your own document, you choose your own transition words, that allow them some creativity and to work within their range, but rubrics also can be worded in a way that allows them to be successful even if they don't have maybe the same nuanced vocabulary as one of their classmates. Instead, could maybe be measured by, do you have the right amount of facts? Do you have the right format? Not as much the content or the smaller details of their work, which allows, some differentiation between the skill levels of what the work is they're actually producing. Anyway, thanks for taking the time to listen. This is just a little bit about ELA Standard for Literacy Writing 8.2, informational and explanatory text. I think I could probably talk all day about this, but for today I'll let it go. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.